Hey, everybody, we'll be starting soon. Thanks for joining us. Hello, hello. I didn't count you down. I clicked too soon. Hello, James. How are you?
Hello, Amoto. How do you do? Good to see you again on right on the summer solstice,
Indeed.
which is pretty awesome. As I know, I was actually informed by a very special person that it is the winter solstice and it's Yule, and it is the first day of winter, and that time is going to get light is going to become lighter. So we're at the darkest days, and now it's only going to get better. It's only going to get brighter. So that's a
I,
good.
I hope so.
I was hoping to bring some kind of positives coming.
Oh, let me turn my mic. Hey, Carrie Hardy. Hello, everyone that's joining us for episode 8 of the Big Picture Pinball Show. We have an exciting episode for y'all today. We have the legendary voiceover actor,
Legendary.
Mr. Boomshakalaka himself, Tim
Tim
Kitzrow, with
Kitzrow.
us. So we're going to show y'all a reel here in a little bit of his work, but you should know who he is. He did several pinball machines, but he's most known for his work in NBA Jam. Yes. Oh, yeah. Dimpled Brain, the voice of pinball. We like to think so too. I mean, me personally. It's been fun seeing Tim show up to some of these shows this year. We saw him quite a few times, and we're all kind of getting out there. And James was like, "Hey, what if we invited Tim onto this show?" And I was like,
well,
"You talked to
well,
him? He's a legend. I'm too
Tim.
nervous to talk to them." James was like, "Oh
Tim,
yeah."
well, my
Hello,
conversation.
Retro Gaming with Hopper.
I learned a lot of I learned that Tim was much more than just a voice. That there was actually a person back there with a background in theater and practice at Second City. He is both he's a writer, an actor, a voiceover artist, based in Chicago.
It's amazing.
Outside of doing all these wonderful video games that you hear his voice on and pinball games, he is a trained actor, and he's worked in all most mediums: theater, film, and television, and radio. So he's much more than
Wow.
just a strange voice on the pinball games. or an excited voice. So we'll say excited.
He does all sorts of voices. It's funny. I remember when I first realized that because I grew up, playing video games, James. I'm not, you said you never played NBA Jam, but definitely in my young preteen years, that's how we would solve rivalries between me and my brother and our friends. We'd just be like, all right, well, let's take this to the arcade and play some NBA Jam in the 90s. So then later on, when I got into pinball, several years later, and then someone was like, "Oh yeah, did you know that this voice you're hearing in Elvira Scared Stiff is the same voice that does the NBA Jam and NBA Fast Break and stuff like that?" And I was just like, pfft, such a small world in this industry. So it's cool. Everything comes back to pinball is the moral of that story.
And filmmaking. Everything comes back to
Oh
pinball.
yeah, right. Because this show is about filmmaking.
Yes,
And audio is very important for storytelling. So that's
a lot
connection.
of the same. Oh, yes, yeah, that's our weave here. Is that a lot of the same principles are brought into pinball games and arcade games, performance,
Yeah, Mitchell, you got it.
theater. A lot of the same technology as far as videotaping and audio recording. And it takes time to develop these characters, and we're going to talk to Tim about how he brought all those things together. So, and what's best to see for those people who don't know the video games like myself, but are filmmakers. Hopefully, you're watching this program. It's to see some work. So we've cut together a quick reel for Tim, so people can see what he does and see what he brings to all these games. So. If we could roll that, and then we'll come back around the other side and hang out with Tim and chat with him a little bit.
Sounds good. All right.
Welcome to Dub Jam Championship Edition.
Time to drop the bass.
No samples. Boomshakalaka, boomshakalaka jam. Let's have party up in here now.
Boomshakalaka jam. EP08 jam. More arena. I'll be walking through the Hall of Fame. Jersey hanging up the bands, gonna remember my name. Steve Kerr turned the finals to an arcade game. Midway, it's to say you can't sustain. Tell Nike, I said, is it the shoes? No coach, I be in the ass shacking the food. Bachelors, I got my degree for dunking on you. Breaking records like the DJ on the turntable. North, south, east, yeah, west on her. Go get in a paint, still feeling like Clutch time on my Heblo. Who wanna build a mansion out of bricks from a free throw?
Welcome to DUB Jam. Hi everyone, I'm Tim Kitzrow. Deep into the Matrix we go, seeking answers from the Oracle on round 2 of the playoffs. Tonight's musical mashup, Dub Jam takes on Smooth Jam. Disco Demolition Night at the Oracle. Put on your dancing shoes, do a little dance, give a little tug, get down tonight. Where does Disco Ball go? Disco to the hole. Kaboom! And where does this one go? Disco there too. Boom! Shakalaka! Dub Nation is on fire, sweeping the first 2 rounds. I gotta keep playing. I am jacked. Red Nation is heating up. Welcome to NBA Jam Throwback Thursday. Hi everyone, I'm Tim Kitzrow, aka Mr. Boomshakalaka. Get your quarters ready. Now, which button do you hit for pass again? Oh yeah, that one. And which button for MVP? Oh yeah, got it. Schools the Bucks and the ABCs of EFGs, IYF. That's in your face. Have you seen this one yet? Beverly Hills Cop for 3. And like rummaging through your girlfriend's top dresser drawer, he finds nothing but nylon. He's on fire. Here comes to you. You bring the tie-dye, and I'll bring the jam. A little courtesy flush there. Thanks, Dwight. How about a little game of Twister? Right foot green, left foot blue. How about my left hand in your red face? Kaboom! The Hardenizer enjoying some home cooking tonight. Demo gets ricocheted off 2 bearded bumpers like a human pinball, then hits the super jackpot. The Rockets are heating up. To Smith. Whoop! Boomshakalaka! Throw it down like you mean it, big man. Only seconds left for the amazing Hardenizer. It slices and dices. Call now, and we'll throw in the free dagger. The nail in the coffin. The MVP is on fire. Thanks for playing, everybody. This is Tim Kitzrow saying, see you next time. Got knocked to the deck, and he just got tattooed. He just had him for lunch. He just knocked his lights out, and he just managed to get him. Knocked to the deck. No, it's lights out for that guy. Mangles him, and they are taking no prisoners today. I'm pretty sure that's not in the rule book. You're not going to tell me that's legal. That was not very nice. Obliterates him. Obliterates him. Oh, he just took a shot. Oh, he's going to feel that one. Oh, mama. Oh, man, was that a hit. Oh, man. Oh, my, he nearly took his head off. Oh, that's gonna leave a mark. Oh, that was a hit. Oh, that was a shot. Oh, that's gotta hurt. Oh, the humanity. Oh, yeah. Oh, you hate to see that. Arnie, let's look at that one again in slow-mo, huh? Oh! Ooh, lights out! Ouch! Oh, somebody peel him off the turf. This guy obviously has some personal problems he's working out on the field. Man, he'll be picking his
Hello, everybody. Hello, Tim. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, how are you, Mother? Hello, James. I was listening to my headset.
Hello,
I actually wasn't
everybody.
watching
Hello,
that feed,
Tim.
and it
Thanks
sounded
for-
like the voice of a deranged madman. That NFL Blitz stuff is fun to listen to.
That was some good memories.
Yeah.
So funny.
Someone put that last bit together. I found it on YouTube. They just strung together 25 minutes of me just barking out those NFL Blitz signs.
I was gonna ask if that was like the actual what you're in the studio. It's
Yeah.
just the actual studio reel. That's funny.
Someone actually took those and they put them to a NFL game, highlights of a terrible blowout game, and someone else did the same thing, putting it to some WWE. You're like, that is one deranged human being out there. He obviously has some personal issues. He's working out on the field. What was he thinking? So always some fun stuff if you're creative to take my speech and put it on top of something else, slap it on top. Well, sounds
Nice. Do you feel honored when people do that, or is it something like if I'm gonna take your voice and repurpose it, do you want to know about it? Like, do I need to come get permission, or?
I love the idea that there are creative people out there that are fans enough to do something that's fun. If they're doing it for profit or their own profit, I wouldn't be too happy about it. But just for
Sure.
fun, I love it.
For sure.
You always, if you're making a buck, you always want to cut. Hey, let's hear one catchphrase for you, and then let's actually dig into your past, Tim, and learn a little bit about how you got to
is
where you
Tim?
got. So, who is Tim?
How did Tim become?
So, pick your favorite catchphrase, Tim. I want to.
My favorite catchphrase is, "Ooh, Gilligan, maybe we could bribe Kona, lovey." That's Thurston Howell the Third. And that's the reason it's my favorite is because that's the pinball game that started this whole thing off, the Gilligan's Island pinball game. I'd been playing a Weekend Warrior rock band in Chicago just to keep my drumming skills together and have fun with some friends. And one of the guys worked out at Williams and said, hey, we're looking for, Chris Grant is looking for a guy that does Mr. Howell. We can't find anyone. Can you do it? And there was a quote, and it was good enough to get me in the door. And then they kept feeding me game after game after game. And so without Mr. Howell and Gilligan's Island, I wouldn't be sitting here today. And without playing the drums, I would not have been in this company of these people that compose the music and hire the talent and write the scripts for pinball. So it's all about drums and Gilligan's Island.
I hate to age you, but
Wow.
how long was that? How many years have you been doing the work with Midway? And
That may have been about 88, 89 for Gilligan's Island. That far back. Yeah, I moved here from New York in '87. And as I said, I was playing drums in a band just because I never wanted to give up on the drums, just because I pursued acting when I was in high school. It was, it was like being a 4-year-old. Like I want to be a fireman or an astronaut. But for me, it was I wanted to be an actor or a drummer. And so I kind of held on to both of them. Never sold the drums that I bought when I was 15 years old with my snow shoveling money, and still have them in the living room. And that's by following one passion that I didn't end up making a career out of. By playing those drums, I found the path when people say, how did you get into this? And no one goes
Yeah.
about, I don't think anyway, like especially 30 years ago, I'm going to get into pinball and video game voiceover acting. And it's just such a random thing. And I don't think and I don't think that one could go about doing it. Maybe these days in video games, things have changed a lot, but I also happen to be there at the beginning of the more speech in games and the sports video games. But as far as voices in pinball games, generally, they would use whoever was in the studio. Steve Ritchie, whatever. Everybody would try a voice, and if they couldn't, then they would go out to an agency. Tina Fey is in Theater of Magic, I believe. Some of the old Second City people, were with agents there. But otherwise, it was just a bit of random luck. But once I got in, and I was a fairly decent mimic to do things like Popeye and Rod Serling for Twilight Zone, which helped my case. But otherwise, I was just doing random characters that I created, like a Roadshow, Ted of Red and Ted. Attack from Mars, various voices, Elvira, what time is it? Time to get scared, Steve! And that's just, having fun with, the old days of Second City SCTV. Joe Flaherty used to do Count Floyd, and he'd have his Monster Horror Chiller Theaters. So it's kind of a ripoff of that.
So, those are so iconic for pinball, too. What did you do the Attack from Mars, like the attack? Like, what were the voices you did in Attack?
I honestly don't remember because there were various, but I know that I did a lot of the military guys, and I kind of like a George C. Scott, let's get those damn Martians, like,
okay,
we can get those guys, kill them, But there were probably 4 or 5 other voices too.
That's awesome. Someone in the chat, Mitchell Rassman, asked, what was your favorite Bally Williams game? I guess to work on and maybe to play too. Yeah, maybe it's the same one.
I think that the most challenging and most fun and satisfying, because the result was great, and to try to do an iconic character like Rod Serling, that was the most satisfying professionally. But I think things like Ted from Roadshow and Whodunit, my kind of private eye character, just because it was completely just original. Like I just found whatever voice or character I wanted, and because they're not big licensed titles, which obviously being connected with Stern, that a lot of current games are working on big licenses, rock bands, movie titles, TV shows. So it was fun to be part of the era where there were just random things like Fishtails, Whodunit, Theater of Magic, that they were just,
they
really
weren't licensed attached.
Yeah, they weren't licensed, and so it was a fun time because you could create a character that no one had ever heard before. So, and then hopefully they become a bit iconic on their own.
So, Tim, tell us. We're getting right into the video games, which is what everybody wants to. The pinball, the games.
World Cup soccer, it's the best. Oh yeah, before we go, can we just go through the list of all the pinball machines you actually worked on? I wrote them down. Maybe you don't remember.
Oh, no, stop.
I know, but he already listed so many, and everyone in the chat's like listing their favorites too. I think his.
You're just jumping to the chase, and it's like,
I'm following his train of thought.
Yeah, well,
James is like, here's my script.
No, we're telling stories, damn it. We're starting from the beginning and then going to the end.
We're getting right into the meat.
Yeah, it's okay. We can do it that way. We can do whatever you want. But I want to learn about Tim. I want to know what makes Tim Tim. I wanted to start out like in the beginning. He was shoveling
He's
sidewalks.
drumming.
He was drumming. He was shoveling sidewalks. Let's, if you start talking about the games, the show is over, damn it.
It's already a success.
It's already a success. We're done. Let's back up a little bit and talk a little bit
Let's
about
go to
Tim.
origin stories.
Yes. We always, the show always works from origin stories out. So let's go back. So Tim.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Troy, New York. And then Albany, moved to Albany, but I was actually born in Lake Geneva, so not too far from the border here.
and spent my most of my youth in upstate New York. Went to school at Purchase College, Purchase Conservatory, the acting program there, and then did a short stint in L.A. Like most actors, thought that was the place to be.
Now,
it didn't last long, but had some fun. Did a couple shows out there. Worked at the Will Gear Theater, Topanga Canyon. Taught some improv. Did Taming of the Shrew. Did Comedy of Errors down at the Gem Theater in Orange County. Then moved back to New York. Put a little improv group together, bought a Betamax video camera because it was supposed to be the wave of the future.
Good old Betamax.
Spent $1,700 when I was paying $100 a month rent. So that's how much I wanted that video camera.
Talking filmmaking, I like that.
Yeah, put the Portapack on and started to make crazy little comedy videos, doing a lot of characters. And at the same time, I put together an improv group that would play coffee houses and bars. And then I was doing Shakespeare in the park during the summer. So I was playing drums in a band on the weekend. So maybe the most exciting time to have all those things happening. That was kind of the formative years.
What kind of music was your band playing? Were you a pop band, or did you have like a lot of product in your hair? What was your style of band?
In the 80s, you couldn't have a bar be successful without a band on the weekend, and unfortunately we never really got to play out more than a handful of times because of the acting and all the other things that the band members were doing. And once again, it was really just to be in a band for the love of being in a band, because all of us had our other kind of careers going, and it wasn't about spending time to make a living out of this. So but it was everything from good old 70s Stones and Dire Straits and a lot of original stuff. So I love the versatility, but we did a lot of original stuff.
Now, Second City was you've made it now from New York to Chicago.
Yeah,
and you're taking classes at Second City, which is a classic place to learn about acting, as well as learn about pacing and timing. All these things, we're talking about an arc here of growing up, going to college, learning Shakespeare, learning the basics, getting into theater, getting into comedy, and then bringing all that to what you bring to your games. So, and I'm sure the deep dive of Fishtails versus a different game. There's probably not how you bring about each of those characters and make them memorable. And come up with your catchphrases, that is good storytelling to me. So tell us a little bit about, that journey to Second City and what you pulled out of that and what you bring to your
Well, I liked in the
career.
intro when you said, Tim's a trained actor, and it's a very...
It means something. That meant we spent
but it's
time with that
also-
school. Your mama would be happy. You would pay for that.
Whenever I hear trained actor, it's like I picture like a circus and a seal or something. He's a trained actor. I was trained. I learned my Shakespeare. I learned.
You learned your craft. It's
learned
not
my craft. And it was everything from circus skills to stage makeup, and we had a lot of talent in that school, and it was a fun time. But I was always more drawn to the comedy roles, and wanted to keep exploring that. And I always had more fun in some ways after a show, hanging out with the cast and laughing and like redoing Shakespeare scenes with my little twist of humor on it. And I thought, I've got to really go the distance and get the Second City training. So moved to Chicago and did that. And in some ways it was great, but my group back in Albany that I had started on my own and doing the videos was, I think I learned almost more on my own because there were no rules and kind of like in a band before you go to Berkeley, just, learn how to do it. And some of the like work on stage at Second City, it's kind of a factory there for them to make money also. Like they're going to find, their people to come through. They'll cherry pick you, then they'll send you for the auditions for main stage and the touring company. But they're taking a lot of people in there that really,
it's a school.
Yeah, it's a school. So you have someone in there who was like, she was a writer for Playboy. She thought this might help her writing, which is great, but I was there to do it, to have it be like the next step of my, master's degree in acting. So it was a little frustrating. A lot of the people on stage were not that good. or some of them. And
I'm a competitive, aren't you?
No, the whole idea of improv and what you're taught over and over again is make the other person look good. Trust. Make it seem it's their birthday. Listen. Well, when you get out there and you don't trust someone, it's like a high wire act. And then you have to just save yourself from falling. So it goes against the very rules of what's, if you listen and trust your partner, you're going to do well, because you never have to think ahead. You're not trying to do a stand-up act. That's why I chose improv instead of stand-up. I like the collaboration. I like the working, the creative, minds together. Once you're in character and you know your situation, there's no real wrong you can do. But if you're out there with someone who, like, as I said, if you think of any other profession, he's never played baseball before, and you're out there, competing, at a major league level, and he's pitching, and you're gonna get hit in the head. So if you don't trust your partner out there, so that was a kind of a takeaway, is that I learned what I could there, but I had more fun, and I felt I was around more talent when I was back in Albany.
Well, that's kind of the case too for filmmaking. You might go to school for filmmaking, but you don't really know filmmaking until you start making films. Yeah. So you start making your own films, expressing your own self, bringing out what you do. So I can see that easily as far as that path. Let's bring your education and a little bit more about the process of where they bring you into these games. You're obviously in a booth. It's almost like are you playing off of people? They give you a script. Tell us a little bit about the point they bring you in, what they give you, and then tell us a little bit about your process as they bring you through it.
Yeah, like do they give you a lot of backstory for like your characters? For example, your characters in Elvira, that's what you create yourself.
Who comes up with these catchphrases too, dude?
Well,
is this something off of you? This is something somebody wrote and he's got to interpret it.
Yeah, the talent out at Williams Valley Midway is and was spectacular. We have guys out there like John Hay, who I worked on many games with. He's the guy who wrote all the original music for NBA Jam. He wrote the original script for NBA Jam. So nowadays, when I went into EA Sports to redo NBA Jam, we probably had 5 or 6 guys, like engineers, producers, editors, sound guys. Like there were so many different people, but there was one hat. One guy did everything. He composed music, he hired the talent, wrote the script, edited, basically produced it, and so they were responsible for all the speech for all those games. So whoever I was working with on a game, I would come in, they would have it done. We'd just go through it, never talked about it. I mean, I'm sure we had a casual conversation, like the whodunit guys, like, oh, private eye. Okay. Just reach reach back, think, but I don't remember any specific, the moment of any of those games ever going into really any depth at all. It was just, here it is, do it. And then once I would go through it, I would always improvise any line that came to me at the time. And that's the way I've worked my whole career. So once I did the pinball games, we did NBA Jam. That was basically a script that was kind of lifted from what you heard on TV, Game of the Week. It was Marv Albert. Sure. He was the voice of the NBA. So John said, oh, this is what basketball sounds like. We're basically making a sim game. So here's the lines. He's heating up. He's on fire. Wide open. Rejected. Those are all lines that come from basketball. Downtown. And someone's got to say them. And so Marv said them. And so I said them. It wasn't until we got to Blitz that first of all, the technology had improved so much that we were able to put a lot more speech in the game. And Dan Forden, who wrote the music for Mortal Kombat and was a huge designer and sound guy on so many big projects, but he just said, hey, Tim, why don't we have some fun with this? It's an over the top game. So let's find the humor in this game. And he helped me write and encouraged me to write on my own. So I was actually started to write to use the computer instead of just, improvising in the studio. So that's where you get the lines like you heard that last barrage, like that was totally unnecessary. But a whole lot of fun to watch. Arnie, let's see that again. So that's where the wise guy persona for me started to come out, because it was a chance to, when you watch football, you watch and you listen to Joe Buck and Troy Aikman and all these, blah, 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 these talking heads. Mm-hmm. I always wanted to have if I'm watching football, I want to hear about the football. So that little stretch you heard there of this guy is totally deranged. Obviously he has some mental issues he's working out on the field. It was a chance to go from Second City to the game world. And that's if you were at Second City and they put the screen up behind you, let's here's an old film. Now, you dub it. That's a classic kind of thing. You just, you turn off the sound and you dub it. So for me, it was like, wow, I get to dub. I get to say anything I want during a football game, a basketball, a baseball game. And that's where it all came together, where now I'm not only performing it, but I'm getting to write it. I'm getting to like see the world. And so like when, The Simpsons was created, when Futurama was created, there was that moment where like, well, what is the tone and who are the characters? So I got to do that, create the world. And that's where I felt rewarded for like the Second City, the acting background, is that it all came together. My love of sports, my love of improv, acting, performance, and voice. So yeah. Is that what the question was?
That was perfect.
I was gonna ask you too, but you just kind of said at the end if you were a big like basketball or football fan.
Oh yeah.
Sports fan before.
My whole life. Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
Did you play sports? Were you a good athlete?
No, I was the runt of the litter of 7 kids in the family, but I think I was 4'11", 65 pounds in 6th and 7th grade. Loved to play basketball, but by senior year, I think I was 5'11". I ended up being 6 feet, but I could actually dunk by the end of high school. But I hadn't had the preparation because I was too small, really. And we had a great team.
You could be like Muggsy Bogues, what's his name?
Yeah,
yeah.
But I never played organized basketball, but I got better as I got older. And actually, around the time I was doing NBA Jam, I was going to riding my bike to the Y every day, at least 5 days a week, playing basketball, and got better and better. And then the fun story I like to tell is once the Jam came out, I would be in the gym with a couple little kids, and, little guy like, Tyrone is shooting, and I go, Tyrone from downtown, kaboom! And he's like, man, you sound like the guy in the game. I go, hey, Shorty, I am the guy in the game.
I am the guy in the game.
And he'd look at you like, see if you look close enough, if he could find out whether you were. Now, he'd invite his buddies in. Suddenly, there'd be like 10 kids coming in, like, are you really the guy? And I'd have to play them all one-on-one and call the game in NBA Jam style. Now, all those guys are probably 40 years old, which makes me feel really old. But that was a lot of fun.
You got to. That's awesome.
So, now let's bring it back around, because anybody who asks questions to you now be part of our raffle, and we're going to be giving away some Marco swag as we do. Moto, do you want to talk a little bit about that as well?
Right. Yeah. So everyone in the chat that's listening, go ahead and drop your questions to Tim in the chat. We'll do a Q&A session. We'll read your questions out loud, and I'm keeping track of everyone who asks questions. I will put your name into a wheel of names, and we will do a giveaway at the end of the show for some NBA Jam swag, which we'll talk about later, and some Marco swag. So think of your questions for Tim and drop them into the chat, and then we'll get to them soon.
And win a super jackpot!
Yep.
How many times I said that? With all the characters you do during pinball, you are also, of course, the flight navigator. So you have to have all your shoot the ramps and Powerball and jackpot, super jackpot. So I've said plenty of jackpots in my life.
Have you ever done live call outs out of pinball machine? Like you're watching a pinball game, and like as you hit that left orbit, you're like super jackpot.
Someone would shoot me if I did.
Let's do it.
That's actually
at the next show. We got to do
it. Show. Tim's got to come over and just narrate the entire game.
Yeah, and you're not doing like commentary, awesome. Like what's happening, but you're literally doing the call outs as makes it harder.
That would be a very
I know that'd be
shtick.
Really hard.
Well, people always, I'm asked to go to NBA Jam tournaments, and they say, "Oh, you could call the game live." I'm like, "No, I can't." that guy they got to do it in '93 when he paired up with a computer together, because the speed of NBA Jam, it's just so fast. It's they're moving and wide open, pippin from underneath, boom shot. Like I couldn't keep up with it. It's not a normal thing to do, and I'm pretty impressed with how it all came out, because a lot of it does sound like you're at an event, especially the NBA Jam that we did with EA Sports. I think that the calls I did were very good, and I could never replicate them in real time though.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, I don't know what show it was because I wasn't there, and I believe it was in 2019, possibly 2018. Might have been MGC if you've been there that year. But I remember my friends coming back from the show and being like, yeah, and then all of a sudden over the PA system, the Boomshakalaka guy just started doing announcements for the show. And we were like,
Yeah.
oh, that sounds like that guy. And, the organizer came by and was like, it is that guy. So I don't know if you even remember that show or if
I do, and I always, I love to grab the mic when I'm at the shows because
everyone just stops in their tracks and like looks around.
Yeah, be the carnival barker and get people excited about what's upcoming, what the events are going on, and but as far as calling a game, that's tough. Except I had a chance with the Houston Rockets. I did a live lineup intro for their team. I remember I got to write something specific for each player. So like, a 6'11" center. He didn't go to college, but he got his NBA degree from Dunking on You, Dwight Howard. I did all the names. And then they said, you're going to hang out here next to DJ, right under the basically behind the basket. And here's a live mic so you can do some stuff, some of your famous calls. I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, just think about this from, 30 years ago or whatever it was I did in NBA Jam. And I'm sitting in the Houston Rockets, arena, and James Harden's running down the court with a steal. One of the first plays of the game, he goes up and dunks it. Whoa, boom, shakalaka. The place went wild. And I was pinching myself. I couldn't believe it. A couple plays later, they were playing the Bulls, actually, Chicago Bulls. And I think it was Heinrich. He goes up for a jump shot. He gets blocked. And I go, rejected. And he gets blocked again. And I go, can't buy a bucket. Ugly shot. And on the earpiece, the guy goes, Tim, what the hell are you doing? I go, I'm calling the game. He goes, you can't call the game in the game. It's after a shot you can do it. You're throwing the guys. Imagine a guy like Kurt Heinrich. He might have grown up playing NBA Jam, and in the middle of getting blocked, he hears, rejected. Can't buy a bucket. He's like, what the hell? Dude, I'm playing basketball here. I mean, a nightmare for him, but I had a good life.
That's hilarious. Oh, man. I'm sure they loved it. It was fine.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this book. There is a book that you are have been interviewed for called NBA Jam.
I will put
and
that on
there
the screen
is.
too. Yeah. Yeah, there's a book about NBA Jam.
NBA Jam. And this is going to be our giveaway. So as far as one of our giveaways today, we're going to give away the book as well as some of our swag, Marco swag. So can you tell us a little bit about the book and your contributions to it?
Sure. And I'll hold up this also. So there's a documentary called Insert Coin. Out. And so the book, a few years back, a guy, a wonderful writer, has written for Rolling Stone, Vice, all these major publications. He grew up playing NBA Jam, and he lived overseas. I think it was Pakistan. And he said, I would have never known about the NBA, but they had an NBA Jam machine. I mean, NBA Jam machines were all around the world. I've had people from South America, like, they discovered the NBA through NBA Jam. So there are fans around the world. Wow. So anyway, he thought that, wow, what a cool story about a game that made $1 billion in quarters the first year that no one really knows anything about. And so he interviewed me probably over 8 hours over a period of a year or so. He interviewed the creator, Mark Dummel. He interviewed Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq was the famous fan that would actually have some of the larger arcade cabinets brought on the road with him on the airplane to be in his hotel room, because there were no home games or home consoles. And certainly NBA Jam at that time was only the arcade version. So anyway, he tells the story from the beginning. And think of it, when I first thought of it, I was like, seriously, dude, I mean, how many pages can you write about NBA Jam? As proud as I was of the feat.
How many pages is it?
You can read it on the back of the book, like the story of NBA. But what he found out, what we find through his storytelling, is it's similar to Insert Coin, is you're getting kind of the story of the heyday of a great company, the company Midway Games, that was on top of the world with Mortal Kombat, Jam, Blitz, whatever. The story is like, how did they get these cool designers? It's like doing a story about Motown, a couple of the big hits. Sure. It may be called like, pick an artist from there, Marvin Gaye or whatever, but it talks about how they had so many hit makers. Like Motown had their hit makers, sure. And Midway was a hit maker. They were a factory. They were rolling them off the line. So you're getting the backstory into who's who. You get a little bit about, Ed Boon, Mortal Kombat. how all these personalities came together, the challenges they had in front of them to get it to market, the concept, how it almost never made it to the NBA. The NBA didn't like it. They thought it was a seedy thing to have their logo on in an arcade, maybe on 42nd Street.
I didn't realize that.
So they had to do all this, sales pitch to convince them. So there's these backstories in there that you wouldn't expect, and really how it almost never got to market. And then how, when it first went out, how they were finding out that owners of the different coin ops would say, "Hey, it's broken. You got to come fix it." That it was broken because there were so many quarters in it. They never expected they'd have to open and empty the quarters on a daily basis. It broke all records. The most quarters in a week. At $2,700, I think, at place in Chicago. So there are so many stories. There's the interviews with Shaq, why he loved it. He would stay up late night gambling, playing with his buddies till dawn, he said, exchanging money. So it really, and it's a good background on me, at which, kind of like the show you're doing here, you wanted to find out who's the guy, so there's a nice section on me, and it's Mark Turmel, one of the greatest designers that's ever lived, all of his hits. Who's now the creative director at Zynga Games. So you're getting a look into the past of why this company was so great. So both Insert Coin, NBA Jam, the book are must reads, must view for anyone who has any interest in like the origin of the hit making machine that was Midway Games, Williams Valley Midway. Brilliant. And last of all, on the book front, there is a production company that is currently filming a sizzle reel to bring this as a full documentary about NBA Jam. They bought the rights to the book, and the director is an Emmy-nominated director, and actually he produced a film and directed a film called The Carter Effect about Vince Carter and his great effect on both Canada, the NBA, and everything else. And the producers are actually the guys who brought Schitt's Creek to the screen and NCIS. Nice. So it's a serious group, and they're already lining up Shaq and other celebrities to have like their version and how it affected the NBA culture and everything else. So it's quite fascinating that this game done all those years ago has such long legs and has had such an impact on the NBA culture, on players, on fans, on gamers. So
it's a whole phenomenon. Yeah. Are you going to be in the movie?
I absolutely will,
yeah.
Well, is it gonna will we get to see your face, or because you're just the voiceover actor of NBA Jam, we just they'll like black put you in the shadows, like witness protection, and you don't actually get to see Tim Kitzrow's face. You just hear your voice everywhere.
The director actually showed up at a Cleveland Gaming Classic. Easy for me to say.
Thank you,
it was an NBA Jam tournament, and he brought a film crew, and I wasn't introduced to him ahead of time. He just started filming, came up, started to do some interviews while I was doing the tournament, and then he told me the backstory, and I'm glad he told me later, because I didn't realize he's big time, and I which was fine, and I wouldn't have changed my demeanor or my answers or anything else, but it was just kind of cool to know in retrospect that here it was just a kind of a small cool event with hardcore game fans, that he had come all the way to Cleveland because he knew I was going to be there to film that, so that will be part of in the documentary.
Brilliant.
That's amazing.
Brilliant.
Very cool. Yeah, hope they make it.
So we brought it all the way back around, Emoto. We started out with pinball, then back around to filmmaking, which is our thesis.
How'd you do that, James?
I know, and the world just all these storytellers crossing paths.
Well, so do we get to bring it back to pinball now? I've been collecting the questions in the chat, and we have quite a few, and of course they're pinball related because we're pinball nerds.
Yeah, I know you guys love the pinball. But I want to just make one more comment about the NBA Jam book. It will be the winner of the best question will receive the book. But if you receive the book and then find Tim, go ahead. You guys can play it up.
Oh, the challenge. So we decided to do a little challenge. We're going to send you the paperback copy of the book for whoever wins the giveaway. And then you need to take this cherished book and find Tim at the next pinball or arcade show and have him autograph it to you in person.
And he will sign it with a beautiful statement to you for finding that path.
It's like a Where's Waldo kind of a treasure hunt, scavenger hunt.
It's a super quest.
And if you find me and I sign it, you then win the opportunity to have me follow you around for a week and narrate your life.
Wow. That's even cooler than
call your boss, call your wife, your girlfriend, whatever.
Well,
arrange it to be perfect timing, like before your wedding, and then he'll narrate your wedding for you.
But that's another topic that we're going to get to.
He'll be there on the honeymoon.
We have a little video talking about that too. So let's do this. Let's do the questions, and then let's go back and introduce the next idea, which is the voicemail and getting voiceover work from Tim.
Awesome. Okay, so some of the questions we got was this one was from Mitchell again. Did you ever work with anyone else doing voice work, or was it always a solo experience?
It's a good one.
Oh,
like when you're in the studio.
Yeah. In NFL Blitz, I worked with a guy who was a radio broadcaster. I think a former player, forget his name, from Detroit. But my best experience was in Slugfest, my Major League Baseball MLB Slugfest. I worked with an icon in Chicago radio, a former stand-up comic, Kevin Matthews, and he is this great character called Jimmy Shorts. He's kind of like the really over the top Harry Carey. So we worked together and we did something that's never been done before. While the game was loading, we did about 50, 60 seconds, basically complete improv of what's going on up in the booth right before the game. Little chatter, phone calls back and forth. He's telling me that he's got mold in his house. He wants me to come over after the game, help him clean the mold. And it's like he got a new computer monitor. And I say, hey Jimmy, Celebrity All-Star Team, Dinner Live. Who do you got? That's a stupid game, and I don't want to play it. Come on, Jimmy, I got Abe Lincoln on the mound. Oh, that's a stupid choice. What do you mean? He's 6'6". He's got those beady little eyes, a drifter beard, that stovepipe hat. He'd be intimidated. Well, I think it's stupid. Well, who do you got? I got the hunchback of the Notre Dame guy. the real one or the one from the movie? You asked me and I told you, so shut up. I mean, he couldn't even run to first. He's a hunchback. Wow, I'm going to beat you over to having a folding chair. So it goes off into this crazy direction. And then we kind of keep up that same relationship throughout the game. In between pitches, sounds like a real game, and then it goes back to the nonsense. So that's the most fun I've ever had. We were like face to face in the studio. So great question. Yeah, look up MLB Slugfest if you haven't played it. It's one of my favorite.
That's awesome. Very cool.
That's great.
Yeah. All right, another one from Dupe TV. Did you do any research when doing the call-outs for World Cup soccer?
Nope. I sat behind the microphone and we had those calls and go! Come on, it's soccer. I don't remember what I said in the game, but I remember my voice was fried after that session. I do remember that. I trusted my guys in the studio to come up with a script for that one.
Yeah, props to them. Retro Gaming with Hopper said, what was the hardest game you've done?
Hardest game was NHL Hits, without a doubt. I think there were 17,000 lines of dialogue. Have you ever looked at a hockey player's name?
17,000?
17,000 lines, and a lot of them were like, I think I had to do 10 or 15 different variations of inflections of the players' names. Sometimes like, from the blue line, slap shot. And think of what hockey players' names look like. There's barely 3 vowels between the whole team. Wow. All names I'm not familiar with, and you're having to attack that microphone, the pronunciation of their name full on every time.
That's
and once you start to slip up, read it, it's in your head, then you start to screw it up. It was like, like screaming the Russian phone book out the window of a burning building. It was a killer. And
wow,
hockey is
how
not my
long did that
strongest sport
take?
too. I think it was 20 hours over 3 different sessions, but I would go to Vancouver to do it. And it was tough. Even we were doing back then, before the union rules that, I should have been using earlier. I think we were doing 8-hour days, and now it's
I was going to say that's
voiceover
long.
artists is 4-hour sessions, and that's it. And it should have been a day of rest in between. So those were brutal.
I can't believe that. That's so much talking. You didn't lose your voice.
It was
what's
rough.
your secret?
NHL Hits showed up EA Sports when they came to the show. Midway subcontracted Black Box Games in Vancouver to do this hockey game because they know their stuff. They did such a good job, and the chatter was it was better than EA's version. So what did EA do? They bought that company. They bought Black Box for like $20 or $30 million because that's what they do.
Yeah, I guess if you have the money, just buy them out.
Yeah. Buy the competition.
Yeah. We don't crush the competition, we buy them.
Yep.
Another question we had was, do you own any pinball machines yourself?
I don't. One of the big regrets, because they were offered to any employee there at cost, any game, including the arcade games.
Now
that was too bad. Oh, one other fun fact about NBA Jam is when I redid it with EA Sports, we went to E3 with it. And they had a huge one of the like MMA, fighting games. They had World Cup Soccer, not World Cup Soccer. They're what's their big soccer game? FIFA, FIFA, and Madden, right, and everything else. Well, guess what? We were like the little train that could. We won the best sports game at the show, and they, all the emphasis was on all these like $60 million build outs, and I think ours was a $10 million build out that was going to be just originally packaged with their EA Live basketball game as a freebie, like, oh, you get this for $69 and you get a free NBA Jam with that. Well, by the time we were going to market, they had glitches with EA Live, with the NBA Live, so they couldn't release it. So they released NBA Jam at a full sim price of $69, which infuriated and should have, the game lovers. It's like, why are you going to charge us what was going to be a freebie? So, but we won the best game at E3.
Brilliant. Speaking of award winners,
amazing.
You're an award winner, Tim.
I am.
Do we have a little clip of him winning an award? A Twippy?
A Twippy.
Oh, yeah. Let's play the Twippies. See, this is how I was able to recognize you at pinball shows, was because of this clip. So we'll go over to that now.
Best call-outs.
Hey everyone, it's the Pins, and we're super excited to be here with you tonight celebrating all things pinball.
This is an awesome way to do the Twippies this year. It's like a virtual playdate with thousands of our closest pinball friends.
And we're here to present one of the coolest parts of any pinball machine, Best Pinball Call-Out.
Ooh, like when I call out to you and let you know I've taken your GC again?
Yeah, I don't remember that ever happening. No, babe, it's when you do something really good or really bad, or someone just comes on randomly and says something from the machine, like, why did Nedry do this?
Oh, like Wonka, my favorite one. Augustus, save some room for later. Or, I also love Black Knight, when Steve Ritchie comes on and verbally abuses you if you miss your shot.
That's exactly right. Yeah, why don't we check out all of the awesome nominees?
Black Knight, Sword of Rage by Stern Pinball.
All I need is a spark.
What chance have you got? None. Let me end your wretched life.
Excellent. An extra ball.
Elvira's House of Horrors by Stern Pinball.
Some might say two heads are better than one, but this haunt proves otherwise. Let's put our heads together and get this anatomical aberration back where he belongs, on film.
One zombie in a tall glass. Super jackpot.
Jurassic Park by Stern Pinball.
It's a Unix system. You know this. I hate this hacker crap.
Shoot the left ramp.
And the winner is Elvira's House of Horrors by Stern Pinball.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow here, aka Mr. Boomshakalaka from NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, a whole bunch of other video games, but more importantly,
the voice of pinball games from the early days at Williams Valley Midway, but now back with Stern Pinball. Stern Pinball is killing it. They're on fire. And I just found out that we received a TWIPY award for best callouts for Elvira's House of Horrors. I play Elvira's sidekick for the third time. I did the first game, the original Elvira, then Scared Stiff, and now the House of Horrors. And I don't know if my character has a name. I'll call him Fred. So anyway, I'm Fred, and I also do all the talking heads, the ghosts, the chowderhead that says, "Hey, watch out, you take another shot at me like that, I'll drop you like a rock lobster, and you are going down, 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 my friend." And I want to thank the dream team, the legends, the icons, Lyman Sheets, Greg Ferris, Dennis Nordman, and on sound, Jerry Thompson. And of course, Cassandra Peterson, the ageless, the voluptuous Elvira. And I'm sorry I can't be there tonight, Elvira, but I never go out before dark. And right now, I'm getting nailed in the coffin big time. You know what they always say, when the coffins are rocking, don't come a-knocking. I don't have to tell you twice. Thank you, everyone. What a great award. What a great time to be back in the pinball business while the arcades are surging. We really appreciate this, and we'll see you at the arcade soon.
Congratulations to Stern Pinball and their team for Elvira House of Horrors, and to Cassandra Peterson, who actually did her own call-outs and put on her Elvira Mistress of the Dark costume and went over to Stern and recorded all the video assets for the game. That's just absolutely amazing. So very well-deserved award.
Yes.
Amazing. So very well-deserved award.
Moto, that you just reminded me that the earlier question, what's my favorite work in pinball ever? I tend to think of a lot of the old titles first, because this is actually fairly recent, the House of Horrors.
Yeah.
This is absolutely my most enjoyable experience ever in the studio for pinball, and maybe of all time, because what a fun project to put together and tell the story, like the third part of the series, but now to be asked to do the 50s horror trailer movie guy voice, 6 floating heads, and Elvira's sidekick, and the script, once again, this was written, Greg Ferris. I worked with Greg Ferris, Jerry Thompson, Lyman. It's like these guys just, amazing people. And Greg put the script together, but then we did play with it. He allowed me to do stuff, and it was like we were all laughing. We were in stitches. It was just so much fun and so much creativity all the way around. Greg's artwork, I think, is one of the best that's ever lived. What he's done with the backboard. So all around, like, I think it topped everything I've done, and it just gave me so much hope that pinball was almost dead years ago. It was almost dead twice, and it came back, and I think this is one of the coolest games ever made. Yeah, it's really,
I agree. It's such a fun game. It's such an iconic theme, and this third one, House of Horrors, in itself too, like, there's so many characters, and there's so many different deadheads that you can get with that mode, and that's crazy that you did all of them.
Yeah.
There's such range of each deadhead has their own personality, so it's great. That's awesome. Did you ever get to work with Elvira? That was one of our questions in the chat.
No, unfortunately, the year that it came out, you guys were at Chicago Expo. I think I was at another show. I might have even been in Portland or something, so I missed it.
It was Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Was the same weekend as Chicago Pinball Expo that year.
I really missed out.
Dang, Tim. What are you thinking? It's a great show. Portland's a great show too.
It is a great show.
Come on.
So
awesome.
So let's, as we watch our time here, I want to get to Tim's other project where he can. We have one more video to play. So and then talk a little bit about some other work that he's doing as far as voiceovers for something that you would like your own work to do. So if you have a video or something that you want Tim's voice on, there's a wonderful little opportunity that we're going to share with you. But let's ask a couple more questions while we're still on topic, and then we'll jump to that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can do the giveaway for that as well. So a few more questions we had. One, Brian O'Neill, if you're still in the chat, hello, asked, have you played any of the pinball machines with your voice in them? Like, you ever got a chance to spend time with your own voice?
I do. Whenever I'm at a show, I try to make sure I find some of the oldies but goodies. I saw The Shadow, which I did the voice of The Shadow. I saw that down in Florida. Judge Dredd, which I often forget about. I did Judge Dredd. So it's always fun to find one I haven't seen in a while, and pull the pull the plunger and let it rip. But I suck at pinball. I suck at all those things. I just watch it go down, and I watch other people do it. I'm amazed, but. Yeah, I always try to do that. One of my fun stories about the Twilight Zone, when it was made, we were actually in the same building that the factory was in. So we walked out. We had a late session about 10 at night. All the lights are off except about 100 or 200 Twilight Zones, which were running all night as they do before they go out and get shipped to make sure if there are any troubles, they'd let it just play in this whatever mode. And so I hear my voice as Rod Serling coming through, and this factory floor with all these lights twinkling, 100 Rod Serling voice. That was definitely the Twilight Zone.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Works with the theme.
Someone asked in the chat, Bumper Nugget, did you get to meet Tim Curry when working on The Shadow?
No, I did not.
And then we got a request for you to do some of your call-outs from The Shadow, if you remember any of them. I'm trying to think of some Shadow call-outs too. It's been a while since I played with such
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows. Something like that. With the Shadow voice.
It's all coming back to me. I love it.
I need another tumbler of bourbon to get that one right.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you for humoring us with that.
What happened to Sweepy? Wow, blow me down. It's the sea hag.
I know. I didn't get to do my pinballography yet. Can I just run through the titles real quick?
Oh, yeah, my God. Please do.
All right. Not in order. And I'm pretty sure this captured them all. I got them from our tried and true pin side. But so Tim has done voiceover for Gilligan's Island, Elvira and the Party Monsters, Twilight Zone, Judge Dredd, Popeye, World Cup Soccer, Roadshow, The Shadow, Whodunit, Attack from Mars, Scared Stiff, Junkyard, NBA Fast Break, Revenge from Mars, NBA, the Stern one, Deadpool, and Elvira's House of Horrors. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that's it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And Deadpool was one of my other favorites of all time. To a cameo to Dracula, the Vampire Disco, and I actually improvised a good deal of that, and I had so much fun doing it. And that was actually recorded on my iPhone because I was up north at a summer cabin, and it was kind of a last minute thing. They got in touch with me and I said it's a 6-hour drive back, and he goes, Jerry said, let me hear what your iPhone sounds like, GarageBand. So it was all done off the phone.
Jerry works his magic,
He's fantastic.
Yeah, brings it in the post and cleans it up. That's awesome. Will we be hearing your voice anytime soon in future pinball machines?
Well, I think that I'm in Chicago now and have a lot of good friends out there at Stern, and any excuse for us to get together, I would love to, and I hope that relationship continues. I'm sure if that's the right project, because they're just such great guys, but a lot of, the characters and the things they've done, the music games, etc., are obviously not for me, but anytime there's a good character role, I'm up for it.
Well, let's talk about character roles.
So.
And
yeah.
Tim is up for doing character roles, and any character role that may come his way, because we if I had a film and I want a good character voice, I know a man to call. His name's Tim. So can we roll the little clip about his what's it called?
Who said what now?
Who said what now?
Who said what now? Okay, we're gonna roll the clip before we introduce. Okay, cool. This is exciting. All right, let's go to the content screen now, y'all, and you can watch this hilarity ensue.
You have stuff that needs to be said. Welcome to Jordan's Birthday Party Jam, Idiots Tournament Edition. And sure, you can say it, but let's be honest. It's going to be a lot better if I say stuff for you.
I got in touch with the guy from NBA Jam. Turns out he has a website that anybody can go to and get things made, like voices and such, voicemail messages, things like that, you know?
I'm Tim Kitzrow, the voice of NBA Jam, now on demand for your pleasure. Oh, I'm gonna regret this. I walk around during the day like Clark Kent with this thing zipped up and I pull down Boomshakalaka. I can do video commentary. Put your boogie shoes on, cause Raphael's heating up the dance floor. Podcast drops. Welcome to Balls of Fame.
You're the man. Boomshakalaka.
Sports highlights. Finn says, I got altitude with attitude. Razzle dazzle isn't the shoes. Your voicemail message. You've reached Mark Stein, mild-mannered reporter from the Daily Dime to the New York Times. Random stuff. Here's the toss. And they come out swinging. Ow! I just spilled my coffee. Whatever you want. Mostly. Whoa, Poo Shakalaka.
Poo Shakalaka.
Welcome to Matt's Bachelor Party Jam, Getting Hitched Edition. Takes another shot, 3 in a row, Matt's on fire. So turn that endless and worthless video library of yours into something that resembles entertainment. Who said what now? It's me, saying whatever you want. Boom Shakalaka.
That was it. That's amazing. So you can hire Tim Kitzrow to say whatever you want within reason.
Within reason.
That was it.
Now, oddly enough, when you talked about this before, I've gotten such strange requests from people, and one was through the site. Someone said, "Would you perform my wedding?" And he wanted me to perform as Mr. Boomshakalaka. And then like the follow-up email after like we went back a couple of times, he goes, I've got to convince my fiance, but I think it's going to work. Yeah. I'm sure that went over, springing that one to her. Like, so what church are we going to be? We're going to be in Cleveland, or are we going to be out at your parents' place? Well, actually, we're in the house of Boomshakalaka. You may now kiss the rim. Kaboom!
I think it would be brilliant. Yeah.
We are gathered here today to join together this man in this rim in holy duncrimony. But what I've always wanted to do is for people to send me weird and random videos, the way you might expect that to be like a Conan or a Letterman kind of thing, where like, you know, send Fido the dog, you know, your random videos, your bachelor party, this or that, and let me voice it. You know, just to see what happens, and then to take the challenge of someone going out to maybe a Starbucks, having an interaction, you know, with a guy at Starbucks, and then send that to me to see what I come up with. Film your friend at his bachelor party, and that's the kind of stuff that, you know, gets me, you know, thinking this could be a lot of fun, and I hope that some people come up with some great ideas and send them my way.
Yeah, and the voice mail messages you've done.
No one uses
right?
voicemail anymore, so I've done a ton of them, and mostly people just want them to have, as, you know, a little trophy or something. But when I'm at shows, I do a lot of cameo type things. I ask, you know, who did you play with growing up, or your brother, or whatever, and I'll put together a whole little kind of a montage, audio montage of them playing with some crazy lines. So yeah, it's fun to have that site and for people to be able to reach out and you know, for their podcasts or YouTube shows, whatever.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, you get a new podcast intro. Yeah.
Now, Tim, you're pretty accessible too. You're going to be going to some more shows this year, and you welcome people to come up and interact with you. Yeah. You'll probably have a booth. You'll talk about your book. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what we can expect and just how accessible you are for people to come say hey to you now that they know the face to the voice.
Well, the shows, which I've only been doing for a couple of years, and COVID shut everything down, I discovered this whole world that what I call like the great gaming tribe. And when I'm with Dan Pacina and Rich DeVizio and Paul Niemeyer, all my friends from Mortal Kombat, you know, we look at each other and we see, especially when you know, people are dressing up, and we go, "This is our tribe. These are our people. We are comfortable here. we are their leaders, or they look to us as we are leaders. But I mean, the nicest people in the world. I never knew everybody was out there because I would do my voiceovers and go on to the next thing. But I'm not really a part of the gaming community. I'm not a gamer. So to go to these shows and discover what, incredible people, it's a great place to network too. I've got a lot of offers. I've met a lot of other great voiceover guys. George Lowe, who did Space Ghost, I met at Free Play Florida. We hit it off. We did a panel on the Space Ghost set down there at Free Play.
Yeah.
So yeah, come up and find me. I love talking to fans. I love getting stories. I love sharing stories. And you can probably find out, just follow me on Facebook or Twitter and find out what shows I'm doing. But otherwise, on my site, timkitzrow.com or mrboomshakalaka.com, there's a square space where you can get in touch with me or my agent. So for any other gigs, and especially professional ones, go through that. Very easy to be in touch. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Great.
Do you know what show next year will be your first show next year?
I'm trying to, actually, I mentioned to you yesterday, I want to do the Atlanta show.
Yeah, Southern Fried Gaming Expo.
And then
That'll
I think Phoenix is the only other definite one, in Portland, because I said I was only into it for a little bit, then basically a year and a half off with COVID. So
Sure.
I need to start to line up, just like look at the calendar. I want to try to do about 2 shows a month around the country.
Nice. Well, maybe we'll see you at Midwest Gaming Classic again.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Which is,
I love that show.
The last
April.
weekend of April.
Yeah.
Super close to Chicago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or you could come to Texas Pinball Festival and attend the Twippies Award ceremony. That will be there.
I would love to.
Maybe if you can arrange to come out to Texas, we can have you present one of the categories for us.
Well, I've already found my new personal manager, but I couldn't imagine anyone better. I mean, you are so well connected. You know all the people, so there's a kickback in there for you.
Okay, cool.
No, I appreciate it. No,
we'll talk offline. Let's get you to these shows. Yeah. For sure. All right. Well, are we? If anyone else has any more questions for Tim, drop them in the chat. This is the last call. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and get to our giveaway, right? The giveaway is going to be a paperback copy of the NBA Jam book, which is all about the history of the lore, everything that is NBA Jam, how it got created and how it blew up. Just amazing. I feel like I need to grab myself a copy too when we send that out, because
last little quick story, but which would be fun about Jam and how it almost never got made on a lot of levels, and especially it nearly did not get the NBA license. But then the home market, just a lesson in business, a business lesson that I learned the hard way, and how hard it is for artists. Look at all the musicians. If you've seen the Standing in the Shadows of Motown, or the Funk Brothers, or the Wrecking Crew, session musicians who played on all these great #1 hits that just got their session fee, and sometimes died penniless. And the video game and pinball industry, certainly in the early days, you didn't have to be SAG-AFTRA a union, which means,
Right.
So I did all these things just on my own, and people say, hey, well, we'll give you $50 an hour. So that's what I did for NBA Jam, and it was great extra money while I was waiting tables. But when it blew up and made the billion, Acclaim called me. They got the license to the game, so they were going to start to do it for Sega and Nintendo. And they said, yeah, well, we'd like to bring you down to Kentucky to our studios, and we're prepared to offer you $800. And I said, oh, $800? They go, yeah, well, we understand you were making $50 an hour at Midway. So I went back to John Hay, who was the producer and did the song for NBA Jam, and I told him, and he goes, dude, just tell him. He just off the top of his head, he goes, tell him 3,000. Okay. I went back, told him 3,000. I said, oh, but you only made 50 an hour out there. I said, well, but that was out there and the game's already made. So that's what the price is, basically. So the first time I ever stood up for myself, and it was so hard because I needed every penny. 100 would have been so much money. And this happened like 3 different phone calls, and they offered me 75 an hour. And it was basically, I did, I held my line. I said, no, I said 3,000. So that still wouldn't work, but I appreciate it. And I just had some bit of confidence, and also this respect of, like, I knew that the game made $1 billion, and I didn't know much more about anything about business or the industry.
Yeah, billion.
And I didn't have an agent or a manager to consult with. But what I didn't do is I didn't back down. So it took 3 weeks, and I was convinced I lost it. Like, it's not going to go my way. Long story short, I wind up there, and the producer, I get in the studio, and he goes, "Why did it take so long to get down here? Did they screw you around with the money?" And I said, "Yeah, they offered me $800." He goes, "Those assholes." He goes, "I told him, you're the guy. If they try to replace you, they try to do anything else, you're going to screw it up. Just pay the guy, get him down here. You're worth every penny." It was just so nice to hear that and say you did the right thing. And you know what they did? They spent like $3 million on marketing and advertising, and they made $60 million with the first release. And they were arguing between $800 and $3,000.
Yeah,
just
respect to struggling artists out there, y'all.
For all artists, I mean, just how crazy! Like, what could that? That's their catered lunch money for one thing. $800.
And stand up for your unions, for your actors, for your musicians out there, your film people. I mean, it's one thing when you're doing a student film or something, where there is no money, or an independent film. But when you start talking, about a major franchise, dude, it's like, it's really important to have that negotiation with SAG or have some kind of union attached to you, because you need to be compensated for your work. It's a lot of work.
And that was one of the questions we had in the chat too. In pinball, do you get to collect royalties for games?
Yeah, same thing. Basically, all those games back then were same thing, $50 an hour. And of course, the wonderful people out at Stern, being part of the industry, they recognized my contribution, and they took care of me and said, "We know what the value you bring to a game." And it was the easiest thing I'd ever done as far as business. I hate that aspect. Even when I have an agent who handles all of that, it always comes up. That you don't want to be in the middle of that. But it's still, to this day, people are always trying to get you for scale and less and anything, and But that's the nature of this business.
Any business.
That's what we have to deal with every day.
Every day.
As working.
We sympathize with you, my creative friend.
And because we're so passionate with what we do, they can get us for our heart and passion.
That's true. And I've always said that I have so much fun doing this. It's like playing the drums. I do play drums. And if I played with people on stage, which I did for 2 years in Chicago, and I'd be like the fill-in band when the band wanted to get drunk at midnight, I would do the last 2 sets to like 3 or 4 in the morning. I never cared about money. It's the same. I actually love this so much.
But you gotta
if I had another thing that I was doing, if I had another source of income, it is the kind of thing, like, I feel so privileged to work with such creative people, to have fun, because the reason you get into these arts, in the first place, is you love the sandbox, you loved, the art class, you loved the stage plays, you loved everything that was creative, and there was no money. You just did it because you loved it. And you get older, it's like, oh, it's a business, and then it can wear you down, especially every day self-promoting, hustling. It's just it's so hard to talk about yourself and hustle so much, because you just simply want to get back in the sandbox and play with people that like to play, but it's part of the game. And, luckily I've done well, in spite of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We hope to hear your voice and more things too. Yeah. Pinball Grams asked, when will the Jam documentary be out? Do you know?
They're just starting what they call the sizzle reel right now.
Okay.
So for me to give a date, I would say next year, maybe 2023.
Yeah. So basically, they're pitching it to be made right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. And then our last question for the raffle was from Pinball Wiz 45B. Are you front and center on the back glass of the Shadow? Do they use your likeness for Alec Baldwin in the Shadow?
There you go.
Yes, that's actually me.
I think you need to call them. Get some more royalties.
Isn't it funny that there was another Shadow made by who at the same time? It's like in Hollywood when you have 2 movies about Capote, coming out, but there's a second Shadow pinball game.
Really? There's 2 Shadow
I saw
pinball
it
games?
Free Play. Yeah. Aha, there's good trivia.
Or like maybe like a re-theme.
Yeah.
or something. That's crazy. Yeah, if anyone knows that one, let us know. What a great game. Yeah. All right. So anyway, we can go ahead and do the giveaway raffle reel. I have everyone's in. Yeah, Pinball Wiz, Alec Baldwin isn't listed at all. So do you do your Alec Baldwin's voice since he's not in the game? Or it's just random?
The only thing I remember is doing the voice of the Shadow, not the actor, but the Shadow.
Right. He's
not
not
the character, but
right.
yeah.
Not Alex.
Alec Baldwin's. He's not the Shadow, is he?
I know. Alec Baldwin is the Shadow, right?
He is the
Isn't
Shadow.
he? No,
It's his
he's the
alter
guy
ego.
fighting the Shadow.
Yeah, he fights the Shadow. Yeah, we all know that.
Right?
Yeah. Right, James?
I don't know anything about.
Yeah, how you doing on this show?
I'm just playing along. You guys are chatting it up here, and I'm just like, I just try to keep it going the right way. That's all my job is.
Just warming the bench there.
I just warming the bench.
For anyone who doesn't win tonight, this book, just Google NBA Jam, the book. It's available at Boss Flights. You can buy a digital copy or a paper copy, and I'd be happy to autograph any if you want to send it my way.
I will
and it shows
drop that link in there now. So here's various places where you can buy NBA Jam, paperback, or digital version. And for a lucky winner, let's see who's going to win. Hold on one second. Let me switch to my raffle screen. There it is.
Raffle.
Oh, that wasn't. Sorry, that was a pre-click. Pinball Grams. That doesn't count. I love you. All right. Hold on. Let me fix this. Everything became chaos. We're going back here, and we're gonna drop this guy in right here. Just a little on the fly editing for us for
part of today's show brought to you by Boomshakalaka Energy. That's right, gentlemen. This is a very important message for gentlemen between the ages of 20 and 45. Is the dunk gone out of your game? Do you wish you could dunk like you were 18 all night long again? Do you want to stay up and finish strong at the rim? Then ask Dr. J about Boomshakalaka Energy. Now we'll dunk it all. That's right, dunk it all, guaranteed to give you 6 extra inches of vertical. If you have a dunk lasting over 6 seconds, please call Dr. J. You may have just broken his dunk record. Side effects include trash talking, foam at the mouth, and catching on fire. Boomshakalaka.
I need that.
Product endorsement.
I need that product.
Yeah, we all need that product.
All right, Pinball Gramps, I know, I'm sorry. That I was just clicking around. So this is the official spin, everyone. Okay. For those who ask questions. I know there are more of you in the chat, but you didn't ask questions, so you don't get put on the giveaway wheel. That's the rules.
That's how it works.
Them's the rules. Come back next episode. You'll get your chance. And the winner is tonight. Ooh, that was is it going to stop on there? All right, Retro Gaming with Hopper. Congratulations.
All right. Way to go, Retro Gaming with Hopper.
Way to go, Retro Gaming with Hopper. Shoot me your email and or send me an email. Send me an email to marcotv@marcopinball.com with your shipping address, and we will get you some Marco swag and your very own copy of NBA Jam. And then you must take this copy and find Tim at a show next year and get him to sign
it. It is the quest.
It will be such an epic quest. So congrats to you, Retro Gaming with Hopper, on that. That's awesome. That's it.
Thanks for playing, folks at home.
Well, Tim, let's thank Tim for sharing his body of work with us and sharing his talent. And again, reach out to Tim for all those filmmakers out there that need a good Boomshakalaka in their show. If not, I think he's got a really good voice that could do voiceovers for other kinds of documentary work. Don't just limit him to the things that he already does. This guy's got breadth and talent. So embrace Tim.
Thanks, James.
For all those filmmakers out there. So last but not least, we have the holiday coming on. So we're going to be, everybody have a wonderful holiday, but we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we have a very special episode that we're planning. Amoto and I got together about 2 years ago while filming a documentary called About Marco. And we are going to put together a very special talking a little bit about our own filmmaking. We have some behind the scenes footage of Marco specialties that we're going to share. Do you have our card to put up, Amoto?
Yep.
Got it working?
So, as all of you all have heard the news, on Sunday we lost Mark Mandeltort. He was the owner of Marco Specialties, of Marco Pinball, a company he started in 1985. This man was so passionate about preserving pinball and created this company to help source all the pinball parts for us to keep these games living. So this is kind of like in memorial to him. And of course, I mess up this graphic.
And a very special,
his vision. We kind of captured a little bit of it.
Yeah, you might resize it a little
bit. I know. I'm like, oh my gosh,
that's really big.
I'm like,
anyway, he's pretty much the executive producer of Marco TV and made our streaming possible, as well as other grander projects that we have in the works.
And he was a big filmmaker enthusiast and loved this show as well. This was one of his shows that he wanted to see happen. Very passionate about Marco TV and all the content that we do as well too. Sorry, why didn't that go through? All right.
So without there you no, that's Tim.
I know. Look here. All right, there you go.
What?
It's been a long week.
Yeah, Tim's back. I see. Did it come back? No. Anyway.
So January 4th, Tuesday.
There he is. There's his smile.
There's Mark.
January 4th. We'll be back in 2 weeks. While filming this project, we're going to tell you a little bit about the behind the scenes of the About Marco video. But we have so much wonderful content that we never got into the film. We thought it might be kind of interesting to share some of the behind the scenes footage. We also have a really wonderful walkthrough from that Mark gave us of Marco, so you can kind of see like all the the offices and the behind the scenes, and he takes us through and tells us all about it. So it'll be a fun, interesting, especially if you knew Mark and you love Marco, it'll be a pretty special show for us. So a little bit different, but because we'll be talking about our filmmaking stuff, but a pretty special show, I think. So we're getting it together. We'll have it out after the holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Look what I did. Awesome. I'm going to go back to that screen.
What screen? What'd you do?
Oh, you don't worry about it.
I won't worry about it.
Anyways,
I never watch these things.
Thanks y'all so much. That's going to be a really special
Everybody
episode.
Thank Tim.
And yeah, let's all thank Tim for joining us today. Here, we'll transition back to Tim. Yeah.
So happy to be here, and so sad to hear about the news of Marco, just as I started to get a little bit of the story when I met James, and to his family and all of his fans, and what you guys are doing. Talk about a living legacy. As you said, one of his favorite shows, and you and I, we realize how few special people it takes to keep this industry going, and how many times it almost went under. But there's, if you're a gamer in a pinball video, but especially the pinball industry, it's the heart and the passion, and these great artists. I was talking about Greg Ferris, all the names, Gomez, George Gomez.
They're all
they're just all, they're icons. Like the museum, their pinball museum is like everybody's 100 200 years from now is going to be, wow, these were the guys and women that made this this live on. And we are so lucky that we have people tune into this show to learn more, to get their history. You might be playing all the new games, but you start to learn about the past, which is always the best way with music, art, everything. You have to go to your past to find out why we're still here today. So I just want to say that to you both. Thank you so much. I can just tell from the moment I met you, your passion, your energy, your love for the gaming industry, for pinball, and for all the fans and everything that's good in the world during a difficult time for all of us with COVID and politics the last couple of years. This is my happy place, the game world, and people like you and the fans that tune into these shows. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. A pleasure being here.
happy Yule.
That was beautiful.
Thank you very
Happy
much.
Yule. Yeah. Yay. Thank you so much. Thanks
Look forward to
everyone in
seeing
the
you in the
chat
new year.
for hanging out with us. And yeah, we'll see you all. Wow, next year, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you in a couple weeks.
All right. Goodbye.
So long, everybody.